Howdy guys, it's Joe here today, talking about Miro or whatever the heck this is. One of my favorite Winston players, though I just still can't pronounce his name because people say it differently and languages are hard. But yeah, today we're talking about him and just overall showing you a little bit on how to play Winston and maybe talk about some tips that you can do while playing this character. Now, of course, I feel like this guy is very good at this character. One of my favorite people to watch playing him. Has a very nice aggressive playstyle that gets a lot of kills and gets a lot of stuff done and seems to be a very nice carry playstyle. You can play Winston kind of defensively next to your teammates, but I'm going to say that he works quite a bit better, at least in my own opinion and from what I've watched, more offensively. With this said, I do want to ask you guys, make sure in the comment section down below to vote for who you want to see next time. Just say what character you want to see, and whoever gets the most upvotes is going to be there. It can be anyone, even someone that I've already covered or someone that I haven't covered, as there's a lot of different situations and a lot of different gameplays. Anyways, with that said, let's get to actually what we're seeing right here. And, you know, to just start it off, we saw him kind of going in with his team. His team got picked off a few times, though, and usually when your team gets picked off, you should probably back up. He was a little bit too close, and that was unfortunate. As far as just continuing, though, now he's trying to get on the point, get as close as he possibly can, and the thing that he does, which is really nice right there, is that he saw that you could see that he was going for the Lucio, but he quickly figures out that he can't kill Lucio, and that's something that you should probably try to remember quite often as Winston. If you're going against, especially Lucio in the back line, and if you don't have someone else to help you, you really can't kill them way too fast. You can kill them, but a lot of the damage you're going to be doing is mitigated. Mainly what you can do as Winston is kill a lot of the other supports, even Ana you can do pretty well versus, but against people like Lucio, you can really just mitigate all their healing and have one of your teammates easily finish him off. We see right here, of course, saving his ultimate until he's at 1 HP, decided to go straight for the back line. He could have just decided to, you know, jump right in there, jump right on the front line and try to hit people as much as he possibly could, but he goes for the back line. And if you saw right there, that was a really cool maneuver where you can use your shift, or I guess use your jump, whatever you want to call it, whatever version you're playing. I'm sorry, I always use PC, but that's what I play, and that's what we see right here. But you can use that, and then, you know, you get another one reset. So yeah, that's a pretty cool thing that I don't feel like I've seen way too often, so yeah, there's something you should do. Another thing that I like to mention is that he also focuses a lot of his gameplay around being next to health packs or going to places with health packs. We see the health pack that he just got on right there, and then of course on the other side of the map, right in front of us in that room, somewhere around there, there's another health pack that he often goes for, and he tries to make so that, of course, he's getting healing and he's getting his supports getting their ultimates charged, but if his supports are focusing on other people on his team, he can still live and he won't be screwed by that. Sorry about that, my throat's just kind of weird. But yeah, I feel like that's something you should try to do. Make sure to know where the health packs are, as if you can kind of mix yourself between getting healed, you know, charging up your ultimates, with letting your teammates heal other people, I feel like that can be a really good mix. Right here, of course, he waits for the opponents to, you know, do whatever the heck they can. Sees that they're probably not going to win that team fight, and as you see, we actually have control of the point right now. There's no real reason to have to go in right now. They can essentially just wait for the enemy team to go in, and you should remember that. You want to have them waste as many ults as possible, or get a really nice ult combo like this, and just try to make sure that they have to get on the point. So you're going to be at the advantage. They're going to have to waste a few ultimates, or at least have to waste some time while you can charge up your own ultimates as they're walking forward. And if you can get a really nice Zarya ultimate combo like that, of course you can go for that. So with this, though, we see that his teammates save their ultimates. Zarya and Pharah ulted, but no one else really had to. And of course, the Winston player, I'm not sure if he exactly had it up, but he wouldn't even have to even if he did have it up. You want to remember as Winston also that your ultimate actually lowers your DPS by a ton. It makes so that you're not really single target, but you're much more single target than your regular fire. You do a lot less damage, and overall, you can't burst people quite as easily, and especially if you get nano boosted, just don't ult. You can't get into a lot of stuff as well. And we see right here we go, he's using this, and he's not ulting. It just does a little bit more damage, and of course, if you get very low, then it's a good time to ult. That's easier right there, and of course, punching people in corners is your best strategy, but otherwise, yeah, I just say that for a little bit. Fortunately, he finally gets picked off right here, but his teammates just straggled for so much time that they actually won right there. We actually brought a Winston and Orisa combo into a tournament that I went to, you know, a little local Xbox one that was pretty fun, but he can work really well at stalling. That's especially a thing that he's good at. He has nice engage, can just jump straight on them. But if you have to just run around the point and stall for a while, and not essentially, you know, just jump directly on the point, but jump around it and get people to try to shoot you, but not directly go in and attack, you can do that pretty well with this character, and you can stall for a lot of time. Especially with someone like Lucio, which we see in somebody like Tracer. That's a really great team comp. And of course, if you are playing Winston, try to get somebody like that. And of course, also having Ana, it's really great with your regular fire being ulted, and having somebody like Zarya is really great. So while I want to say that fighting against a Reinhardt, I feel like Winston is always a really good choice. Winston can put up his own barrier, and if your teammates know where to position, it can last a decently long time. Sometimes it'll instantly break like that, but sometimes it can do okay. And as well with this, you can go straight through the enemy's barrier, and mainly focus on the backline. Of course, if you're seeing that you're being bursted, you should back off, and that's a problem that we see with a lot of bad Winston players, and that's a cool thing that we saw with this guy. When he's getting really bursted really fast, he tries to back off as fast as he can, tries to get out of there, while some other people might just try to get a few more ticks of damage and then usually die. And I'd say one thing that you might want to practice is learn how to flick shot your shift, or how to flick shot your jump. So if you're at like 1 HP, you can instantly turn your head completely around and jump the opposite direction, either up in the air, straight forward, really wherever. Of course, jumping up in the air is usually an okay idea if you're projectile characters, or on the enemy team, someone like a Hanzo, like a Genji, I guess, or even like a Junkrat. And if they have hit scan, you probably want to jump near the ground, as it's a lot harder. Well, I guess you can just really get behind a shields a lot faster and have people like Zarya help you more. And overall, being a flying target is pretty easy for hit scan, but a little bit harder for this. Alright, here we see great communication. Of course, the Ana and our Winston player talking to each other, saying, ult. They ult in. Of course, Winston saves his because he does more damage, as I'm going to say again and again. But yeah, they get into the back line to kill people out. And even though they don't have the entire enemy team destroyed and all killed, they can push them back right here. So that's essentially just as good, because since they already have the point, just pushing them back is good enough. You don't always have to go for the team wipe. Just try to remember that. Now, as far as some other positioning stuff, I feel like you can really either focus on being straight up in the front line, trying to get to the enemy's back line and just pick off the supports with your own combo ult or anything like that. Or as well, you can stay near your back line, put down your E's, and try to just body block as much damage as you possibly can. It does kind of, work on the situation that you're in right now. That was kind of weird right there. It depends on your situation. If you're next to a lot of DPS, that could easily be burst, and if you know the enemy team has a lot of ultimates, it can be a smart idea to stay back, try to tank as much as you can, and just beat people out like that. But as well, if you can jump in, press your E, and then make so that the enemy team has to turn around, it gives your DPS a lot of free time to deal a lot of damage. I feel like it really just depends on the enemy's range. If they have someone like Reaper, of course, jumping in the backline means you're going to die fast, but it also means that your supports are essentially 100% safe, because the Reaper really can't get back there way too easily. So that's kind of a thing you want to keep in mind when you're deciding, do I go in, do I stay out, what do I want to do here? So with this, if you want to go a kind of middle ground, little cheat sheet, all you can happen to do is one of these two things: walk forward, press your E, and then walk backwards, and have people have a semi-Reinhardt shield at medium range, where the enemies have to take a little bit of damage to get through it. Not the best idea, but a really good thing to do is pull your E back right on your teammates, and then just jump in without your E. You do have to make sure you're doing this when the enemy team is not 100% targeting you, otherwise you're just going to be bursted and instantly die. But if you can get it while maybe 2 people are targeting you, you can usually do a lot of damage to the back line, distract people for a long time, and if you happen to just walk in there without using your shift, you can just shift straight out of there and become really overall quite safe. And you can see just a variety of people going for these different situations, mainly just depending on what's going on. Right there, of course, he could have used his E a little bit quicker, gotten that shield up, or put it next to his teammates. Waited just a bit. It really doesn't matter way too much, though, because his whole team gets wiped at the end. And we see them just coming up right here. And this is the first time where they don't really have the point at the beginning for way too long. So now we get to see something a bit different. Instead of just playing that hit and run, wait until you have the point for as long as possible, we see him having to actually go in. And he does that by jumping straight into the back line. We saw him just go around the corner, and the nice thing about what he did right there is that it was essentially 100% safe. No one was really next to him, wasn't much that people could have done against him, while at the same time he was distracting 2 of the enemy team, being the supports, and 2 of the tanks. So his teammates actually got to get quite a bit of the picks on the side, and even though it seemed like something that wasn't way too major, it got a lot of attention. Brought away a lot of crowd control, and brought away a lot of healing, I guess a lot of tankiness as well, which is what you can do as Winston. It's not always about getting the kills. Of course you can, because you have this really nice backwards damage, but it's not always that way. As well, something that I'd like to say is that if you are going for the kills, you gotta make sure that you aren't next to Roadhog, and if they have a Roadhog, you have to make sure that you're pretty much staying next to your backline, protecting them until the Roadhog either gets picked off or just happens to split off from his team, because otherwise you're going to be in huge trouble. I feel like too many people just kind of stay next to Roadhogs, jump in next to Roadhogs and don't really think about it way too much, Winston's just going to instantly die. He's going to be an awful pick in that situation. You just have to think it through just a little bit, as you don't have way too much that you can do against him. What you can try to do to survive a little bit longer is push down your E or your shield and then walk in between it a few times. Your hitbox is really big and awkward though, so that doesn't work the best. And overall, just wait until they're gone, or just wait until they're off their teammates, or maybe even just wait until you have someone like a Zarya to give you a shield so that you can charge her up and help your team a little bit. Alright, here we see he completely ignores the Roadhog. You really, again, can't do anything against that. Gets quite a bit of damage right there, but C's probably not going to get a kill and decides to jump right behind him. He could have just decided to jump right behind next to his team, but going around the back and being next to the enemies is a pretty smart idea. As well right there, he of course knew where the map was, and he knew where all the healing was. We saw those golden limbs right there, so you can't get those as tanks. Right now, nobody's ready for him though, because he's straight in the back line. His teammates tell them that they're going in, and you can essentially know where to jump in. He jumps a little bit too far away to get to the back line though. And right here we see them just finally going for a final push, trying to stop this right here. Didn't really get any picks on that final fight, and they just eventually pick it all off. So that was a little bit more awkward than the other ones. He did try to make a lot of plays. He did try to get to the back line, pick people out, but it just didn't happen to work. And you have to remember that it won't always work. You do have to just try again, as that one Mario song, I don't remember what it is, from Bowser's Inside Story. You just have to keep going for it. But sometimes it will work, and often it will work, but just don't get too frustrated if it doesn't. I feel like a lot of people with Winston especially just kind of think, you know, he's not the best pick right now, even though he's actually really good right now in my opinion, but they think that they lose one game and then they just completely, instantly switch off the character. Of course, if your verse is like a Reaper plus a Roadhog plus a Zenyatta, that would probably be a good idea to switch, but against a lot of other comps. Just see how you could play differently and see maybe did this wrong, or maybe at the same time my teammates just weren't grouping up at the right times and I can just wait for them for a little bit longer and we can pick it up next time. Alright, here we see a very nice beginning. They get, I think, a kill, maybe, really not way too much, but just kind of push the enemies off the point, get a kill or two, and they have to eventually back off. And right here again, we see them on this point where he can stall for a long amount of time without way too much effort. Of course, Winston, I feel like, is pretty good against D.Va, as again, you can get a lot of her attention. She can't really jump onto your backline way too well, and you can easily jump onto her backline without her being able to do that much. As you see right here, you put down your shield, she can't really shoot you and kill you, and at the same time, you can just go out to the supports and she doesn't really do enough damage for the most part to be able to kill you. Of course, if she has teammates, you're probably going to die. But if you have any healing at all, or if you just by yourself with one of their supports, with you and D.Va and whatever, you should be kind of fine. So I'm going to say he's a pretty good pick against that. And as well a pretty good pick against Reinhardt, which they both have right here. Unfortunately, again though, they do up and have this Roadhog, and he does a really nice thing right there. He's being told that he's gonna have to get ulted by the Ana, but decides that he's just gonna immediately ult so that he takes as little damage as possible. He can tank as much as possible, because remember, you have essentially like 1.5k health with that nano boost. You're gonna last a long time, even though you might not be doing as much damage. If you feel like you're gonna get bursted by someone like a Reaper or by something like a Pharaoh ultimate, if you're getting solo ulted, as that happens sometimes, you can usually get out of it pretty easily with that double ult. So that's what you can do as far as a situation where you would want to ult with the Ana ultimate. Finally, we just kind of finished it off right here. Staying back next to his team, trying to get as much heals as possible. He realizes right here that he doesn't really have to go way too ham. They have the really big advantage. Dodges that with his shift instead of his E, which is something that not a lot of people would do in my opinion. I feel like a lot of people would just place their E down and completely waste it, because it would be the easier thing to do. But he dodges it, and now he can use it in this team fight. Blocks off half the room, so then the enemy team, Reinhardt, has to run along the other half, and he can't hit quite as many people as his teammate is kind of his team is kind of split 50-50. So then they finally just kind of finish it off right here, and you can see overall the small decision seems to make a lot of difference in this game, and really in every game, but especially as Winston, saving some stuff, and of course going for the back one by yourself, just kind of being ready to know when to go in, and not wasting your ultimate, not wasting your abilities, and knowing when to combo your abilities with other people, and just kind of knowing when to go in by yourself and with others, is mainly just what you want to be trying to focus on and trying to learn how to do. It is kind of awkward as this character, as sometimes you're just going to get yourself killed, and a lot of the time you're going to be jumping in on someone, and then you won't realize, oh wait, they had a Reaper right here, or oh wait, the Roadhog ran around, but then it came back, and no one shot called that for me. It takes a little while to learn. Of course, you do have to be a little bit risky as this character sometimes, but I'm going to say he's a good pick, and if you want to pick him up, I definitely recommend it, and we see a lot of really nice stuff by this player that you probably can learn a bit from. Anyways, what the guys said, thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, leave a like. Comment down below what your own opinions are about this character. And as always, guys, thank you all for watching and have a wonderful day.